everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name's Claire and oh hello, come up. And this is Yoli. Oh, thank you. I make videos all about houseplant care, sharing tips and tricks I've learned over the years to help keep your plants happy and healthy. And today I thought I'd do a little plant rescue video. I've got a couple of plants here that really are not in the best way at all. So I thought I would bring you along with me, attempt to rehab them and hopefully get them to bounce back. So the first one I rescued from my mum's collection. Sorry mum, I don't mean to name and shame, but this is a Calathea trio star, and as you can probably see, she's not looking great, let's be honest. So yeah, that is plant number one. I've also got this very, very sad looking one, which as you can see isn't even potted up. She's just in a Sainsbury's bag. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably have seen the story of how I came across her. On my walk home, I found, I'm pretty sure it's a philodendron. If anyone can confirm that, that would be great. Sticking out of a skip that was just being dumped. So I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna try and save it. Woohoo! Oh my God, it's heavy though. When I initially found her, she was actually looking a lot kind of greener and healthier, but I think because she was put outside right before the storm and I found her after the storm, she's got lots of snapped stems and just has been battered about a bit, had rubble thrown on top of her from the skip. So yeah, it's safe to say she's not looking her finest. So seeing as she's in the worst state, I think I'm gonna start with her. When I first came across this plant, although I suspected that it was probably some sort of philodendron, I wasn't quite sure. So I put a thing on Instagram and I asked you guys what you thought. And honestly, I had such a mixture of responses. I've been using this app called Nature ID quite a lot recently, which is basically just really, really great if you're not quite sure what sort of plant you're dealing with. So I snapped a picture of it and it confirmed that it is a Thaumatophyllum bipinatifidum, which is commonly known as the split-leaf philodendron. This app also looks at the condition of your plant and gives you a list of suspected problems, which is just so useful when it comes to actually diagnosing and treating your plant, especially if it's not immediately clear. And there is also an option on here as well, if you're still not quite sure, to speak to a qualified botanist. I didn't need to consult an expert on this occasion because I think any houseplant that had been left outside in the recent storm is kind of bound to be in a bit of a battered state, which, as you can see, this one certainly is. Also, the other really cool thing about Nature ID is that as well as plant identification, you can actually check different areas of your house and kind of see whether the lighting is going to be right for each individual plant. You can also set up care reminders for things like watering, fertilizing, rotating. I know I always bang on about not sticking to any kind of strict schedule, but if you're really, really busy or you've got lots of plants and you tend to forget about them now and again, then this can be a really great option. If anybody fancies checking it out, I'll pop all the details for it in the description box below. So I'm going to start with getting the plant out of the bag and probably into, I had a bowl, I have got my potting mat here, I'll tilt the camera down. I have got my potting mat, but whenever I'm sat up high and I try and do it up at the sides, it doesn't seem to work. So I'm going to just try and get some of the soil off it because it's still very much, you'll see in a minute, it's very, very root bound in a kind of a big clump of soil that's mixed with rubble from the skip. So I would say that is the first thing to do. Oh. It's also so heavy. Carrying this back home after I found it was a bit of a mission. Oh. Right, there we go. Oh my God, yeah, look at those roots. That is absolutely crazy. This is going to be a bit of a mission, I think. The one really encouraging thing, although obviously it's got lots that needs to be cut back, it has got a few points, like just there, where you can see there's actually a new leaf coming through, and there's another little one that looks, oh, there we go, just there, that looks really, really good. So I think actually, if I give it a really, really good chop back, then I'm thinking that it probably will be absolutely fine. There's also lots of kind of little growth points like that all around the base. So yeah, in fact, maybe I'll start with doing that. Maybe I'll give it a good chop back first. Just gonna sterilize the scissors, not that this plant isn't already covered in dirt, it is. So yeah, this can be rubbish pile in front of me here. Oh, I think that could be another new growth point as well. Okay, there's hope, because when I found this plant and it was looking quite kind of green and healthy, and I brought it home and it started to look worse and worse and worse, I was thinking, oh God, like maybe the storm was just too much and maybe it's kind of taken it out for good. But that is really, really encouraging. It's such a beautiful plant. Like I don't understand. I mean, it blows my mind. There could be many reasons, but it blows my mind when something's in good condition, why people would just throw it away. Let's just give it a good chop back. So I know some people would probably not agree with me literally kind of chopping back most of the foliage, but the thing is, like, when we're trying to get the plant to bounce back, in my opinion, and from experience, like when I've been trying to get a plant that is really not in a very good way back to health, actually getting rid of any kind of areas of damage, so long as you're kind of leaving a good root system and stuff like that on it, getting rid of any areas of damage just kind of allows it to focus its energy on the healthy bits and not kind of on trying to save bits that are not gonna, like, I mean, that's not gonna bounce back. So yeah, by giving it a really good chop back, then hopefully it will just encourage it to push all its energy into bits like that, which is going to be a beautiful little new leaf. Yeah, you can kind of see already it's going to be a lovely little new leaf. So hopefully, oh, there's another growth point in here. Okay, this is good. This is really good. So now that I've got rid of that bit, you can see the new lovely leaf a bit clearer in there. Look at that. I'm so tempted to, I know you're not supposed to do this, but I'm always like really intrigued to see. This is not advisable because obviously you risk damaging the leaf, but there we go. Look at that. Okay, there is hope. So I think actually what I'm going to do in order to get most of the soil off this is I'm going to have to actually take it outside, just because I think it's going to be a bit messy to do in here. What I want to do is just take it outside and kind of give it a good shake and get as much as I possibly can off. So I'm going to go do that and I will be back. So the root system is pretty huge, considering it obviously was quite a big plant, and it's actually really hard to get all the soil off it. So that's what I've managed to do. And actually, touch wood, the roots don't look that bad at all. I was really kind of expecting them to be in, I mean, some of them are a little bit, they're not sludgy even, they're just a bit broken and damaged, but I was expecting it to be in a really bad condition, considering it obviously hadn't had a lot of love. So I think I'm just gonna give some of the roots a little trim back, like these ones here. Like you can see, that doesn't look great. Someone actually asked the other day about root pruning in general, and I need to kind of start doing it more. I've heard amazing things about just occasionally giving the roots of your plants a little trim. Apparently it can kind of help encourage new growth and stuff like that. But considering this root system was at one time supporting a really big plant, obviously I'm not going to go crazy, but I'm not going to be too precious. So also thinking, because obviously there's quite a few points here, I might try and divide it ever so slightly. And maybe, because the pots I've got I'm slightly limited on, and I'm thinking that's quite big, and I don't think I have a pot, like apart from an outside pot, that it's going to fit in. So I might try and do that. There we go. Oh my God. Whoa, there go the scissors. Look at that. There we go. So now I've got two separate plants. So the roots on this one are looking really great and kind of pretty much good to go. As I say, was expecting to have to treat them for root rot, but I think this one I can probably get away with not. They look kind of really pale and full and healthy. On this one, again, they're not bad, but I kind of feel like I might need to take this outside and just try and get a little bit more of the soil out of the root ball, just because it's a little bit sludgier on this side. So what I might do, I might put this one to one side for now and treat it with hydrogen peroxide. I've got some here. I might just kind of dilute that and kind of let them sit in that for a bit and just kind of help, God, I can't have words out today, help kind of get some more oxygen to the roots and yeah, maybe give them a little bit more of a trim back. But this one here, I'm gonna go ahead and pot up. I'm gonna jump right in and take the risk. So I think I'm gonna have to use an orchid pot, which is annoying, but I'm low on pots, low on soil, but that's my own fault. So, is that gonna be too big? reckon that will be okay. I reckon that will be all right. So I've got a bit of soil that's been pre-mixed. So I've got normal potting compost, perlite, some sphagnum moss, and what else have I got in there? Grit and orchid bark, I think. And I'm just going to add a little bit more perlite to that. I'm actually running scarily low on perlite as well. I decided to put together a load of perlite propagation boxes the other day because I chopped up a load of stuff. What did I chop? I chopped up my Brandtianum, I chopped up my Melanochrysum, also one of my pink perlite. One of my pink princesses that I had in sphagnum moss, I decided to transfer to perlite. Don't know why. One of the little wet sticks, just decided to do that. So that was that. But now I'm running very, very low, and I'm hoping that this is gonna be enough. While I'm doing this as well, I'll give you a little update on my Warocqueanum, which is the one that was not looking good in the last video I showed you. I decided to chop all of her leaves off. She's now got no leaves at all, and basically just chop her back to a rooted chonk. She had, I mean, if you remember, she had the tiniest root system in the world, and it was just really not good, and I had to chop it back even more because it had rotted again. And I've now got her, I'll show you actually, I've got her on a heat mat, you can see there. So she's in my little olive bowl in perlite soil and sphagnum moss, and I've got her on the heat mat under grow lights, and I'm really, really, really hoping, this is kind of like last chance now. If it doesn't work, then I'm gonna have to just give up on her, but I'm really hoping that in a few weeks, maybe I'll start to see some new growth, because yeah, it was very, very sad to have to chop her back after having tried so many times to save her. But they're just, I know the one that I got wasn't in the greatest condition in the world when she arrived, but they're difficult plants. Like, I've heard that they can be quite tricky, and I think just because I've had and have so many anthuriums, I just kind of assumed I'd be able to, even if there were some issues, I'd be able to kind of get her back to a good state. But when you're dealing with a plant that's got a lot of foliage and it's got a bad root system, it's so, so difficult. So, as I say, I will absolutely keep you updated on her, but I'm just, I've got everything crossed right now. Oh, and I'm out of soil. So I'm gonna have to mix up a little bit more, which might be getting close to my limit. And if it is, we've still got another plant to rehab. So let's have a look, let's see. I found a little bit more. It's still not a lot, but I think, yeah, I think it's gonna be good enough for these 3 plants. I hope anyway. I'm really excited to see this plant grow. I really hope that it does really well after this. I've never had this kind of plant before. I've obviously had philodendrons, but these are, I think they're tree philodendrons, and I've seen them, but I have never had one. What I might just do after this as well, I know I said I was gonna treat the other roots with hydrogen peroxide. I might just give this one a water through with it, because obviously there was some soil still on it, kind of around the root ball. There was still some soil that has been outside for a bit, and I just want to make sure it hasn't got any eggs, or I didn't see anything nasty. I saw a couple of wood lice, but I got them outside safely. I just might do that just to make sure that if there is anything nasty lurking in there, it doesn't stay in the house. So yeah. I was going to say as well, I know I'm talking about hydrogen peroxide loads in the rehab. I use it for so many plant rehabs, and I actually did it with my friend's plants about 2 weeks ago now, I think it was, and I made a video on it with all the kind of uses of hydrogen peroxide. It can be used for things like fungus gnats, fungal issues just in general, root rots, pest treatment. It's honestly, it is just amazing stuff, and I use it all the time. It's brilliant, but especially like in this case, bringing in a plant that's been outside indoors, it's a really good idea to do, because the worst thing in the world is to bring a plant in and then find it's got something that then affects all of your plants, and it is not good. I think what I'll probably do, just to be on the safe side still, is I'll probably keep these ones kind of isolated still. They have been isolated for the last 5 days or so since I found it, but I'm going to just keep them, once I've done this, away from my other ones and just kind of monitor them to just make sure everything's fine. But as I say, like looking at the new growth points coming in, actually, I think this plant's going to be absolutely fine. I was so worried, but I think it's going to be absolutely fine. What I'll do as well is I'll post some regular updates on Instagram so you can kind of see how the plants are getting on and keep our fingers crossed that they thrive, and they do absolutely brilliantly. So yeah, I'm going to put that one to one side and just give it a really good soak through afterwards with hydrogen peroxide and water. And then this one here, what do I do? Yeah, I think I am, just to be on the safe side, I am gonna give that one a hydrogen peroxide soak before I put it up, just because, as I say, like, I don't really know how well you can tell on camera, but just towards the end, a lot of the roots are really, really sludgy. The only other thing I could do would be to give them kind of like almost a full chop back, which actually someone said I should have done on when I repotted my pothos plant. Someone was like, I would have just chopped all the roots back. And I was kind of like, oh, that would really scare me. But maybe I try it. Maybe I should try it. Like, that's something I've never really done before. I've given them a prune, but a kind of proper chop scares me. You know what? I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to try chopping all the roots back as far as I kind of can and still allow the plant a bit of rootage. But I'm going to try doing that, and I'll let you guys know how it goes, because I mean, at the end of the day, if it's going to help the plants, then fantastic. And as I say, I've heard that that is a thing that people do. They do just chop the roots completely back, and it seems like a weird thing to do because obviously that's kind of their support system and you don't want to wreck it. But I've got one that's still got its full root system here. I may as well try it with this one. Oh, that one just came straight off. So there we go. That is still a really, really decent root system, especially just for these little 3 bits that obviously don't have a lot of growth to support right now. But I've given it quite a chop back. I'm scared to go any further. Should I chop all of them back? I don't know. Maybe I'll do a little bit more and then hope that that just encourages the plants to do better. If anybody else has had like experience with kind of really heavy root pruning and they've either found it to be great or awful, do let me know in the comments below, because it's something that I'm really intrigued about and I always feel like I'm not bold enough when I go for it. So yeah, if you've got an opinion on it either way, do let me know. I mean, all of them look fairly healthy now. Can you see? They look fairly healthy, and I think I'm going to go with it like that. Will it fit in this pot? That might be a little bit of a squeeze. I mean, philodendrons don't mind being a little bit root bound. And actually, if I've just chopped some of them back, maybe I will put it in a slightly smaller pot because I don't want it to kind of be overwhelmed with moisture and stuff it can't handle. So yeah, I think I'm going to try and put it in this pot. One thing as well that I wasn't actually going to talk about in this video at all, but I did mention it a while ago and I haven't done an update yet, but I have been doing an experiment over winter with basically, because I know lots of people fertilise their plants over winter and other people don't. Like, for example, I always personally stop over the winter months and just fertilise during growing season. And I won't give too much away because I'm going to make an actual kind of video on it, like a proper video on it. But I got 2 identical plants, similar to the other experiment I did a while ago, but I've got 2 identical plants. And I've been fertilising one completely through the winter months, and I stopped fertilising the other one and only fertilised it during spring and summer, and then I'm going to start again come spring and summer, and then hopefully do kind of like a full conclusion update on it at some point. But it's been really interesting. It's been really, really, really interesting. And I feel like I've got a lot to say about it. And I know that's kind of annoying to bring up now because I want to save it for the video when I've kind of had a chance to see the whole thing through. But so far it's really, really, really interesting. There's actually loads of things that I would love to kind of reference, but I've kind of already in my mind kind of planned them for specific videos. So I should have turned this into like a repot and Q&A or rehab and Q&A. Maybe I will. Okay, I'm going to put a post on Instagram right now and see if I can get some questions in as I finish these plants and the next one. Right, so I'm just going to pack in a little bit more soil around the gaps in this pot and then give them both a good soak. And then what I'm going to do, as I said, I'm going to keep these two just isolated for probably about a week or so, just to be on the safe side. As I said, I have given them such a thorough check over and they seem fine, but just because there's still a little bit of soil in there from before, I'm going to just do it to be on the safe side. Oh, you can't see me. Do it to be on the safe side. And yeah, I'm going to just leave them in a spot that gets kind of bright and direct light and lots of humidity, and I will keep you updated over on Instagram. But I think it's looking really, really hopeful considering there's so much new growth, and actually you can see there's some big growth points on it as well. So I think it's going to be fine, you know. Yeah, I'll let you know. Let's see if anyone's asked anything. Someone said, how many plants do you own? I was talking to someone about this the other day. I think, off the top of my head, as in I've done a rough count a few months ago, and I think I'm probably between 100 to 150 at the moment, I would say, not including propagations. I was going to say I've got a ton of propagations on the go, and I don't really count them as, although they are plants, I don't really count them. I just count kind of plants that I've got potted up in my house. I think if I had to kind of say an accurate guess, I would say probably about 120. A lot of them are really, really, really low. Oh, to be honest, most of them are really low maintenance. Like, I haven't got a huge amount of plants that require loads of attention. I would say probably the ones that kind of, I don't know, the highest demands are like alocasias and calatheas, because they like their soil kind of consistently moist. But I know it sounds like a huge number, but actually it's not awful. I mean, I don't really do a lot to them on a lot of days. So yeah, maybe I'll do a video where I actually do count at some point. That would probably be incredibly boring, but yeah, let me know in the comments how many plants you've currently got. I'm also thinking about, there's a few that I've been thinking for a while, just like cactuses and stuff like that I've had for years, and I do really, really love, but I would kind of like to clear a bit of space, send them to a more kind of loving home, and then be able to potentially add some new ones to my collection at some point. So yeah, that's those ones done. As I say, I'll keep you updated. The next one, the calathea. So, as I say, this was in my mum's collection, and I'm not gonna I mean, just by looking at it and by knowing the environment that it's been in, because I've seen it and she's told me, obviously calatheas love humidity. It has not been in a particularly humid environment. There hasn't been any humidifier or anything like that. The shelf that it's been on, firstly, has been too close to a window that receives lots of direct sun, hence the kind of potentially browning, and also there's a radiator right beneath it. So it's kind of like the worst condition ever for a calathea. So I'm guessing that's why it's not doing particularly well. Also, I don't know if you can really tell on camera, but that soil is bone dry. And as I literally just said, they love their soil to kind of be evenly moist. And this doesn't feel like, even if I stick my finger right down in there, that is so dry. It doesn't feel like it's had a water in, I want to say months, but I don't want to out my mum too much on here. So yeah, I'm gonna, I don't know if it actually needs repotting, but I'm just gonna kind of lift it out and check the roots just to make sure they're okay. I mean, just because it is very dry right now, it doesn't mean that it might not have been overwatered at some point. So I'm just gonna give them a little check. I mean, yeah, you can see how dry that soil is. The roots actually look absolutely fine. Yeah, I don't know if you can see. And also that down there, just there, because I've had people, can you see? People asked before what tubers are. That's a little tuber, I think, with roots wrapped around it. But yeah, I'm not worried about the roots, so I'm not gonna repot this one. I'm gonna pop it back in its pot. You can see there's a lot of kind of dead growth that's died off here. I mean, that is very dry and I don't think it's coming back. So I'm just gonna really, really, really prune those bits back. So hopefully at some point make some space for new growth that might come through. I don't know what it is about having like a structure with, like, when you guys ask questions, there's something about it that just, it immediately, I don't know, it just makes everything a little bit easier. Like, I'm not saying that I want to do like a full Q&A video with every kind of repot and chat. It's just that there's something about it that kind of, it starts you off and then you're able to talk a lot more. And like before, as I was repotting the other two, I was kind of thinking, I was like, I feel like there's loads to talk about. I feel like there's loads to say, but I don't just kind of want to launch into it. It's quite nice if I know that you've asked the question, if that makes sense. So on that note, I'm going to just see if you've asked another one or any more. Someone said my pink princess philodendron is giving me only small leaves, chop and prop, question mark. New to me, in brackets for free and newly staked. I mean, I think it depends. So I say what I'm about to say because I know how you're feeling. So my pink princess that I will show you over here, without getting too distracted from what this video is about, my pink princess here gave me small leaves for a very long time. Like you can see down the bottom here, they're not particularly big. And if you compare that to the ones up here, I mean, look at the size, like some of her newer leaves. Oh, try not to do a white princess on her. If you look at those leaves, they are absolutely huge as she gets bigger. And I think, oh, 1 second. I think a lot of that just comes with maturity of the plant, but also obviously making sure you've got her in the right conditions. If it's a fairly young plant, I wouldn't be expecting it to produce massive leaves right away. Obviously, yeah, just do your research, like bright and direct light. They like it fairly warm, fairly humid, just making sure you're providing it with kind of the optimum conditions. And if you can also bring yourself to do it, sometimes actually pruning back some of the kind of smaller, younger growth can help to kind of encourage bigger growth. But I know, especially when it's a plant like that, it can be really, really hard to do. I did it with my Monstera albo that is, not this one, downstairs. I did it with that one when the growth was really small and I was also looking to kind of heighten the variegation. And I managed to kind of bring myself to chop some of the smaller, newer growth. And it worked amazingly. Literally within the space of a couple of months, all of the new leaves it was pushing out were a lot bigger, a lot kind of healthier looking. So that would be probably my suggestion on that. As I've said in so many of my videos, any like advice that I give is just based off my personal experience. I'm not a botanist or a horticulturist or anything like that. So that would be what I would say. But yeah, just make sure the conditions you've got it in are good and feel free to do a bit of pruning. On that note as well, like you said about chopping and propagating, that's not a bad shout because I guess that's kind of like giving it a prune to encourage the growth and also potentially getting another new plant. So yeah, I would say that's probably a good shout. Again, just make sure that your plant's kind of not a teeny weeny baby. If you try and propagate one that's kind of too young, then often it can fail. I know that again from experience. It was a Marble Queen pothos and it was absolutely tiny and it had been propagated fairly recently and it only had a few leaves. And I thought, I see a node, I'm gonna chop and propagate it. And it just failed because, I mean, it was still a baby itself. It wasn't ready to be having babies of its own. So, yes. Right, so I've got a lot of the kind of dead bits out of the soil and some of these leaves, I mean, the new ones here actually really, I mean, that one's got a little bit of kind of damage on it, but I don't think that's from anything apart from just it's probably whacked against something. It actually looks fairly healthy. So I think what I'll probably do, this big leaf here, I don't know if you can tell on camera, you can tell it's starting to turn all over. Like I feel like that's going to go yellow pretty quickly. So I'm going to just go ahead and chop that. I have before with these plants, I have completely cut them back with calatheas and they have bounced back fairly quickly. So I am going to say that it'll be fine. I'm doing a lot of chopping back today. You should see the leaf pile I've got here. It's pretty insane. But yeah, I think that's probably going to give it the best chance. And then obviously once we've kind of done what we can with this plant, then I will just make sure that I say to my mum it is left near a humidifier, not with too much direct sunlight, not by a radiator, all those things, and hopefully it'll be absolutely fine. Again, all the ones with little just kind of like browny yellowy tips, I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of, I'm not going to cut the whole leaf off just because if it's savable then great. I'm going to kind of follow the natural pattern of the leaf like that so that you won't really be able to tell, so it will just kind of look like that. It'll just immediately make the plant look a lot healthier. Let's see if there's another one. Oh, this is an interesting question. Someone said, do you have any collections other than plants? Probably not in the same way as plants, not in the same way. Like, obviously, I've got a lot of plants and I absolutely love them. When I was younger, I used to absolutely love vintage clothes. Like, I mean, I'm not talking like expensive vintages in like find stuff in a charity shop and be like, oh, it's vintage. And I used to collect big kind of vintagey cardigan jumper things, many of which I still have because I've still got a lot of clothes from when I was about 14 years old. I really need to go shopping. But that, off the top of my head, I would say is probably the only other like collection. And nowadays it's not really much of a collection anyway. I know one, and this is so random. It's gonna make me sound about 5. I collect stones that I find that I really like. Like, I've got this stone downstairs that I might have to go and get and show you because it's so perfect. Not like a gemstone, not a crystal, anything like that. I'm gonna have to go get the stone. God, I so didn't think I was gonna be talking about rocks in this video. So I've actually brought a few. So this is the stone that I was talking about. You won't be able to tell on camera just how perfect it is. Like, it literally, oh my God, I just love it. I found it on the beach and I was like, it's so perfect. It's so perfectly round. It feels really good to hold. I'm gonna take it with me. So that's my stone that I have next to my bed, and whenever I'm feeling like angsty or anxious or anything like that, I just hold it and it like grounds me. God, I know that sounds probably very bizarre to a lot of you, but that's my stone. I also got really into, they've gone a bit yellow now, but drawing on, like, I used to do mandala art and stuff, and so I used to like draw on stones that I found, and I've got them everywhere. So yeah, I've never really thought of that as being a collection before, but I collect rocks. Yeah, wow, that's random. Anyway, back to the plants. Let's see if there's another one. I'm loving how weird these are. Advice for a newbie, please. Again, like I said, any advice is just my opinion. Things that I guess I wish I would have known a little bit sooner is like really researching your plants and knowing that actually once you've done your research on your plants, it's never going to be as difficult as you think it is. Like, it's a hell of a lot easier to do 10 minutes of research and be like, I know that this plant likes this, instead of kind of guessing and then having to go through the whole trauma of trying to save it like these ones. So that would be my opinion, like top of the list. Definitely research. Before you get a new plant, just make sure that you can provide it the right environment. And that might sound so totally obvious, but for example, like when I was at my old flat that was really dark, really dingy, I loved cacti. Like, I really liked cactuses. Yeah, I just kind of thought, oh, well, there's a window, it'll be all right, and just wasn't getting enough light, and I didn't have my grow light set up in there at that point. So the one that I'm sure everyone's probably sick and tired of me saying now, but I'm gonna say it again, underwatering is always better than overwatering. And again, I say that because, for example, this plant here, the calathea, that has been ridiculously underwatered, and although it's not doing great, I have all the faith this plant is going to bounce back because its roots look healthy and because there's some nice new growth here as well. However, if this had been overwatered and left for months and the roots have started to rot, then that means you essentially have to cut the roots right back, as I've shown you in some other videos. And if you do that, then sometimes you do risk sending the plant into shock and losing the whole plant, which is such a shame. So yeah, if you're not quite sure, if you're kind of umming and ahhing about whether or not you should water again, then I would always say, unless you're sure, probably wait a couple of days. And just like, you can use moisture meters as well. Like, if you're not confident and kind of trusting your own opinion, sticking your finger into the soil, use a moisture meter. They can be really great. I know a lot of people that use them and love them, and I would say that is a very good shout. Oh, hello, cat's here. Pretty sure I made a video a while back about, hello, about care tips for plants, and I think I did one specifically on beginner tips. Sorry if you can hear the cat. Jetty. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I've done one of those as well. So those would be the ones off the top of my head, but there's probably more tips that I'm forgetting about off the top of my head now in that video. God, I do just love, never ever, the camera never does things justice. The underside of those leaves is just the prettiest thing in the world. I miss this plant. I haven't had one of these in ages. This one here, actually, back when my shop was open, I kept this one back and I gave it to my mum, and here we are. But it's such a beautiful plant. You can see as well on the back here, this either looks like, and I know it did have pests a while ago, this looks like spider mite damage to me. Can you see the kind of, so basically as I just showed you with that leaf there, it's all lovely and pink underneath. It's essentially being kind of eaten away on this leaf. And as I say, it's all fine now. That's what spider mite damage looks like. Fastest growing plant of yours. I'm pretty sure I answered this in my last video, I think. Pothos plants, really fast growing. Philodendron, really fast growing. Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, which is, ow, that was my knee. Which is this plant here. This one is crazy fast growing. I mean, I would say, so that, these 3 leaves here, that new one there, I would say have all come up in the space of about a week. Maybe that's a slight exaggeration, maybe 2 weeks, but they are so fast growing. Yeah, to be honest, the majority of my philodendrons are really fast. So I would say, if I had to say, those are probably my fastest growing plants. If you were a plant, what plant would you be? Oh my God, these questions are so good. If I was a plant, what plant would I be? I think I would be something, I would like to think, fairly relaxed. Probably not that high maintenance. Again, I would like to think. I would say I want to go with Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. It kind of just gets on with things. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's a really cool question, and I will definitely think more on that. But off the top of my head, I would say Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. I definitely know some people that are calatheas, though, believe me. Right, so I've got rid of, apart from this little bit here, I've got rid of all the kind of deadness, and it's already looking slightly better. I'm just going to give the wives a little keep, the leaves a little wipe. I've just got a bowl of water and a cloth. I'm just going to give it a really good wipe down because they're quite dusty and grubby, which again obviously makes them more susceptible to things like pests, but also it's just not good for the plant when it comes to like absorbing light. So yeah, I'm just going to give them a little wipe down. Someone said, how many times have you loved house? I'm guessing you mean moved house, or maybe just loved the houses that I've lived in. I don't know. I have moved house. In terms of family homes, 9 or 10 times growing up. I moved about quite a bit when I was younger. In terms of moved out of home and moved back, I want to say that's about the same, but that's probably a slight exaggeration. I have left home, gone away, moved out, and come back again. I think I'm on my 4th time now, which is just how it is. I'm grateful that I'm able to come back and live with my lovely mother when I'm not in the position to be able to move out. I'm hoping that I will be moving out again for the last time in a few months. That's the kind of plan as it stands. But yeah, where have I moved to? So I have moved to London twice and moved back again. The first time was I did a foundation course at drama school when I first left college, and I did my foundation, and then I moved back pretty much straight after that finished, and then I moved there again in 2014 when I went to drama school again to do my degree, and I lived there for the 3 years that I was training, and then I want to say another like 8 months after that. So that was, let's just say, like just under 4 years. And then I moved to Worthing, moved around a little bit in Worthing, and yeah, that's kind of my here, there's, everywheres. So I think actually having checked the calathea over, I don't think it's really as much about rehabbing the plant as it is just changing the conditions that it's in. As I say, like it just needs more humidity, less direct sun, and more frequent watering. I think that would honestly do the trick. I've still, just because I've got a little bit of the hydrogen peroxide water left over, I'm gonna use that just to give it a soak through, just get some water going to the roots, some oxygen, extra oxygen going to the roots, and that should help to kind of boost some healthy growth. And also, as I say, I know that it is pest-free now, touch wood, it is pest-free, but any pests that might kind of have got eggs in the soil or anything like that, it will just kind of help to rid them and hopefully just give the plant a little boost. One of the things I was going to say as well is, since I made my hydrogen peroxide video, I've had quite a lot of people saying, is it okay to do this all the time and stuff like that? And the short answer, is it a short answer? Basically, no, I personally wouldn't do it all the time. It's not going to kill your plants, but also you forget that because it's amazing at getting rid of kind of the bad bits in the soil, like eggs and pests and fungal disease and all that sort of stuff, it can also get rid of the good bacteria in the soil, the stuff that your plants need and they thrive off, and you don't want to be killing that off. So, I mean, I would say in terms of watering with it, unless you've got a very specific reason to, such as root rot or something like that, I would say probably wait a good few months in between doing it at least. That would just be my personal opinion. I don't actually know off the top of my head if there's like a correct, like, you should not do it more than this amount of time. That's just what I do. That's what I've done for quite a long time for my plants, and touch wood, they are all healthy and happy. Well, I mean, there's a few issues with a couple of them, but that's more kind of breakage wise, me being clumsy and throwing them about and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, that is what I would say. So I think with this calathea, I was tempted to cut that leaf back as well, because obviously I've had to go in quite fine up there, but I think it's probably going to be all right. There's another new leaf coming here on this little bit, just there, and there's also some new growth coming up there as well. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. Again, what I'll do is I'll post updates on both of these ones on Instagram, so you can kind of see in a few weeks' time how they're getting on and follow their progress. But that's what I'm going to do for now. And as I say, I was kind of expecting to repot this one as well, but there's no point if it doesn't need it. And especially when I'm chopping back the foliage, it kind of seems a shame to disrupt the roots for no reason. So I'm going to leave it for now. I'm going to leave it. Yeah, I'll keep you updated. But yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I almost feel now like I should have rehabbed a few more, because I thought it was going to be more tedious than it actually was. But if this sort of video is something that you like, then please do let me know, and I'll make sure to do more of them. I find them really fun. I literally cannot walk past a plant that I feel like I could potentially help or try and save and not do anything about it. So I would happily make this into a little series where I go around all over the place finding abandoned plants and trying to save them. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, have a lovely day. Ooh, that was almost a casualty right there. Have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video.